Mike DiBartolo with the Nationals, and he's got the interim label.
Yep.
These positions are all interim. Some are more interim than others, but they all are interim, except for Brian Cashman. He's been doing this forever. But he's replacing obviously Mike Rizzo. He's got a lot of pressure here at the deadline to do some things to try to improve this team so that they can start to finally win next year. MacKenzie Gore's name keeps getting popped up. Now, if you were a GM right now, how many phone calls per day would you be calling Mike DiBartolo to try to get MacKenzie Gore? And for me, this is a tough one, right? Because I think you're not signing him long term, and you can really, I think, clean up and should be able to get some significant talent back in return that could also help you in the next couple of years. But you're not getting better even for next year if you're trying to compete, and your job's on the line. And the haul that you get, you're not going to see them impact the Major League Club for 2 or 3 years. So if you're Mike DiBartolo, do you trade MacKenzie Gore or do you hold him?
So, first of all, if I'm Mike DiBartolo, and I'm rooting for him, by the way,
yes.
I want to be able to show the Lerner family that I can do this job. Now, we keep hearing that the Nationals plan on hiring a legitimate president at the end of the year of both business and baseball, from what I can understand. But if DiBartolo has a really good trade deadline, there's even if they bring in a president of baseball operations, even if they can get, say, Eric Neander from Tampa Bay, or maybe they decide to hire Thad Levine. Regardless of what they do, DiBartolo has a chance to stay on as GM if he has a good trade deadline, right?
Right.
Now, what I hear from opposing GMs is most of the conversations are around Kyle Finnegan and Mike Soroka. They seem to be the two pitchers that teams are looking for, and that the Nationals are most likely to move. But Mike DiBartolo has told opposing general managers that he will listen on Gore. He's not looking to trade him, but he'll listen. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the right play for him, because to keep his job, if he could make a phenomenal MacKenzie Gore trade on a pitcher who, I agree with you, with Scott Boras representing him, it's going to be hard to get him signed long term. And the Lerner family getting burned by Strasburg and Scherzer on the books and Corbin on the books, I'm not sure the Lerner family are ready to go back to the well to sign pitchers to those kind of deals again. I think they regret not signing Bryce Harper and Juan Soto and Trey Turner. They won one World Series, but they had to pay a huge price after that. They couldn't stay competitive the way they spent their money. So the question is, what can the return be? They're in the same boat kind of Miami is with Sandy Alcantara. They're not necessarily going to trade Alcantara, but if someone wants to trade for a former Cy Young Award winner that people believe can still do that, you're going to have to overpay. But if Alcantara doesn't get traded and Dylan Cease doesn't get traded, and Zach Allen's having a down year, MacKenzie Gore could end up being the best pitcher traded. And so some of these teams that are chasing Alcantara and Cease, etc., they may pay the price for a controllable MacKenzie Gore, and it may get to a level where you got to consider doing it, because the Nationals aren't 1 or 2 moves away from winning. And turning Gore into 3 more players, certainly, at least on the surface, seems to make sense to me. So listen, will he do it? I don't know. But is there pressure? Sure, because let's say he did the Rosario trade, and let's say he does the Soroka and Finnegan trade. What's that return going to look like? Right? It's not going to have impact. Just because you're not trading impact. So it's not going to have impact. So how do you sit there and show the Lerner family or anyone in the industry that that's the job for you? You trade Gore, that's a job for you. If he could sit there and have the gumption to trade Gore for a huge package, he'll make a name for himself and possibly keep his job in Washington. That's why I think he's got to consider it. That's why I think he will consider it. And that's why I think if somebody wants to overpay, like if you're the Dodgers, don't you want to come get Gore? I know how much starting pitching you have, but you could sit there and start the offer with Sheehan. You could then put Zaire Hope in it. I mean, you could all of a sudden, I can get you up to 4 or 5 names. You could do Dalton Rushing, who's a backup catcher to Will Smith, who's the best offensive catcher in the National League, second best to Raleigh in the sport. You could do Rushing, Sheehan, Zaire Hope. Oh, boy, now you got Gore. I'd like to have Gore in the postseason because he's healthy.